Terry Montgomery,
Present.
and Phil Vosberg.
All right. First item up, item 3 on the agenda is to approve our agenda. Look for a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Terry. Second by Steve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Next up, we have our consent items. Is there anything any board members wish to pull off of our consent agenda? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion for reading them for the record.
So moved.
That was Mike.
Motion by Mike F.
Second.
Second,
Terry.
Terry. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Okay, our consent items. Item A, approval of minutes from our January 5th meeting. Approval of professional staff resignations. Melanie Palombi.
There you go.
Nice. Parkside special education teacher. Approval of support staff resignations. Robert Bruger of Northside. Sierra Rates of, from the high school. Approval of support staff hiring. Gary Bowen, Northside custodian coordinator. Aaron Meyer, high school custodian. Exempt staff hiring Melissa Dixon, Board of Education, Administration Executive Assistant. And then we've got some more donations to approve for tonight. All going to Backpack Buddies, from Kurt and Terry Ellison, a $250 Thrivent card. Donald and Bonnie Barker, $50. Marianne Johnson, $30. Excellence in Education Fund, 2, $500. And My Dental Agency on behalf of the Ekdahl Family Dentistry, $50. We've already had a motion and a second and approval, so we'll move on. Is anybody here for the purpose of public comment? We'll keep us moving. No Leanne tonight. We'll move on to nothing from old business, on to new business. All right, we've got our crew here for the high school building project update. Thanks for making the trip.
Yeah, Ron, I wasn't at the last OAC meeting due to meeting conflict, but Ron, I didn't know if there's anything you wanted to share to kick us off before we get the gentlemen started on what they want to share.
No, I'll just say we uploaded today Ryan's traditional reports, so on the financial side of the equation. Also, Joel had a new update that came out today. Has a lot of even photos in it of stuff that was done since I was on site on Tuesday for that OAC. It's at the point of the project where things are happening pretty quickly out there as far as finishes go, which really, make the spaces come alive. And then we do have a presentation, a PowerPoint, and it wasn't loading for me, so hopefully Heather can pull it up. And Ryan, are you all right if Tony goes first? All right.
All right, yeah, we just got some PowerPoint with some photos here, because the drone video, we tried to have it last week. Apparently those things don't work if it's, outside. So that completely fell apart on me. So we're gonna have to deal with photos. I just wanna take the time to introduce Christian Albers too. Christian's been on our team since, when, September, October, something like that?
It's been a while.
He's been on trailer, Christian is a part of our team and just another project manager. He's been kind of focusing on quality review and a lot of coordination with subcontractors and enclosure and stuff like that. So you might see him at future board meetings, so I just want to kind of get him in front of you and just, let you be familiar with him. So with that being said, I'll just kind of walk through the building here. So as you enter the main building here, you can see we got some red colors on the outside of the building. If you've been keeping up with some of Joe's updates, you've probably seen some of this already, but you got some red metal panel on the left. Really a lot of metal panels kind of done. As you can see to the right side of that photo, there's some perforated metal panel that's going to come across all those windows from the right side of the picture to the center. That's just started. There was a couple quality concerns there, so we hit pause a little bit to get that addressed, and they'll pick back up with that here shortly. So the front of the building's ready to come along, and there's storefront framing in there and just a little bit of plywood partitions still as we use for access in and out. You can flip to the next photo. Here's just a close-up of basically what I just said. See some of the glass there to the right of that middle panel. That's a welcoming sight for us to see some of that go in. It's been temporary wood walls and insulation for quite a while, so it just keeps every time it's always like, oh, is this thing gonna be done? You know, so it looks more finished now, which is great. And you can kind of see right in there now. You can't see on this photo because there's a glare, but the monumental stair right behind there is in and placed as well in the middle of the M room. So that's another huge thing that we had done since last time. All right, you can head to the next photo. Just a more closer up, you can see those black tubes there. That's where that red panel at the very far end of that photo is gonna come across where all those tubes are above the windows, so. Here's some of the admin space. So we've got some protection over top of the transaction tops there to the left, but basically that's the check-in space right inside the admin. So really, we're pretty close on this area. Throw some flooring in and clean up some stuff and swing a couple doors, and we're pretty much done with that area. To the right's just another space there with some countertops and casework and ceilings in, and lights are on. And you walk into the rooms and the lights turn on just like they're supposed to when you're occupying. So you can tell we're getting to the point where we're getting done some areas. Like really, the west side of the building is, I mean, if we really had to focus on getting that done, I mean, a couple weeks, we'd be ready to almost hand that over. You know, we got some light fixtures in the hallways that came last week. We were able to finish some ceiling tile. We got a floor of the hallways, and then really it's just clean up, do some punch list stuff, and you know, we're ready to start punching with the architect. I've never had a project before where an architect is pushing back on starting punch lists so early. So we are actually talking about maybe starting some punch lists in some areas since we're pretty far along, but you kind of look at now from like, you know, May 1st, that's still a long ways away. So we're pumping the brakes a little bit, which is a good sign on some of those areas, but we want to kind of at least get through one area, just kind of get one under our belts and keep moving forward and making sure we understand the standard. All right, moving to the next slide. Yeah, so this is back in the CTE area. Just shows that we have to the left there some overhead doors that are gone in. If you've been around the site for quite a while, you know that those openings have been temporary plastic or wood for the longest time. So it's a welcome sight to see some overhead doors go in. To the right's kind of just the, I don't exactly know the name of this, but basically where all the computers are in the tech ed department for when they're doing CAD drawings and different kind of things in the tech ed department on the computer. So that's kind of a workroom you see to the right there.
And then in metals and, I don't know if auto, the tops weren't in there, but metal and autos, I know all the metal cabinets are in, and they actually were doing the butcher block tops in the metals area, or in the wood area the other day, so.
Oh, that's just a view down one of the hallways. You kind of see the, you know, the picture of the right goes into
See well, they're starting to get the black accent stripe too in the ceiling tile there.
Yeah, the part of the design is that white ceiling is about 2 inches or 3 inches lower than the black ceiling tile that's on the left-hand side of that photo, and it just kind of gives it a little more accent. It's not as punctual here as when you walk in there. It feels like a nice touch in the space, for sure. It's not just all white, you know, so looks great. We're ready for some toilet partitions, so all the toilets are in. We're ready for water heaters and hot water too. We're kind of getting to the point where we fire that thing up, but we gotta do some cleanup and really partitions and ceiling, and this space is pretty much wrapped up. So to the left, you just have another hallway. Getting close to dropping the rest of the ceiling tile there. Here's the metal. So this is a kind of welcoming sight, the smoke eaters that are next to the welding booths. So right in front of you there's that the two CMU walls that kind of come out. There's 2 welding stations within that one box. So you can see every one of those arms that comes down is for a welding station. So there's 4 of them in the right-hand side of the photo. There's 16 of them overall in that space. So a lot of the dust collection system and HVAC, that's more point of use stuff for whether it be, you know, what you see in front of you here, or like the saws in the woods. All that stuff's really starting to go in now and start to get pinpoint locations on where that stuff comes down to service the equipment. So it's really coming along as well.
I don't know if articulating is the right word, but all those ductwork that comes down for the welders are movable, so you can
Yep.
position them to, as needed.
Here's a couple photos from the auditorium. So really, this is our last space. We're gonna be right up to the end on this, but some of the good things that you can see here is it's all black. So we're done with painting, most of it. We need to get all that high painting done with big lifts, kind of the background painting, I'll call it, which is the black. Right now, what we're focusing on, and you can barely see it in some of these photos, but some steel studs. So we're doing some steel stud framing on those pieces that look like this on the ceiling. Those are clouds. So you can see the track going down on those. But really, we're working on getting that framing done so we can do the drywall walls and clouds in that space. And then that'll be painted next, and we'll just work our way down. Another exciting piece of this is main stage equipment is starting to do a lot of the auditorium equipment install. So, that was kind of a nerve-wracking thing for us just a couple months ago, honestly, and see them here and installing is a breath of fresh air for sure, because we were nervous on some elements that needed to be re-looked at by the design team. But it's all in good shape now. We're tracking towards the end. What you see right there is just a ramp that goes over the orchestra pit. Gym flooring, this is probably the biggest and most flashy thing since the last time we were here. I think we might have been starting to put flooring down or it
This
was
is early
delivered.
in the process.
Yeah, so like, this is kind of what it looks like now, and it's just really exciting to see that space. It's really
You can
looking
see the
sharp.
other half of it wasn't even first coated yet, so.
All right, next one, just a picture of the commons. The nice thing now is, if you go in there today, it's a lot cleaner than what it was. The drywall finishes are done on almost all surfaces. It's pretty much ready for a little bit more conduit for lighting and things like that throughout the area. Otherwise, it's paint, and we're out of there. So, there are some, we're gonna be adding some window treatments along those tall glass walls to the right there. So, we're gonna be procuring those window treatments. What's that? And the Lambu to the left, that's right.
Yeah, when is the Lambo going in?
Last, I would say,
Yeah.
after the paint.
Do you want to explain what Lambo is for the?
Yep, so Lambu it's a manufactured wood product. It actually is made of bamboo, I guess. But it looks like laminated wood, and it comes from China. So basically what you see to the left of that photo, there's those little black clips down below the railing, and then black clips up above, like where the joists come. It's essentially like a 2x12 by 20 foot long that runs vertical there. They're like vertical fins on every one of those. So it'll kind of break that whole plane up a lot. But yeah, it's like 2x12 by 20, standing on its end, going from the bottom clip to the top clip. All right. There for a couple months, it seemed like every day you walked outside, there was another building that popped out of the ground. Yeah, so this is one of them, the baseball and softball concessions. We had some of the steel set and everything ready to go, but then we panelized this, so it was a really quick set. Pretty much the wall panels were made in the shop and set in place in a day. So move on to the next one. The greenhouse framing is in. Since pulled off, just to do a little bit of coordination where the vestibule meets into it. We've got that all hashed out now, and they should be coming back soon to finish that up. Varsity baseball field, since we had a little bit of the snow melted, see that some of this is getting close to ready. Really, winter came quickly for us back in November and shut everything down real quick, which we knew we were working on borrowed time, but we're ready to pick back up right where we left off and get this thing done by June. Ticket booth, and some fence posts. Baseball concessions, this is from the bleachers looking back up at the concessions press box area. So those higher windows are where the press and the coaches and things will be sitting, overlooking the field. And the bottom right is where you go up to those windows for concession stand. And Cleary building, installed there 2 buildings, the maintenance building, and then the next one's a sports storage. Maintenance building has a concrete slab in it, the sports storage does not yet. figured there's no point in doing that just yet. Wait until nicer weather, so. So a lot of photos. Any questions on any of that? A few other things that are kind of coming up would be, epoxy flooring is going in, which is nice to see some other trades coming on site. What I missed, guys? Any other highlights to add?
Waxy floors, grinding the floors in the kitchen.
Yep.
Paint.
Yeah, lots of paint going on. Other questions from you all?
Does the ceiling in that commons area get painted?
Yes.
Well, we're 77% billed for the project. That's pretty crazy that we're already there. Doing great on owner contingency. We did have a change order come through, combination of things since we last met, but the majority of it is the turf infields for varsity baseball and softball. Fortunate enough to have an awesome community donation for the lion's share of that. We also added a monument sign down there in addition to the monument sign that's kind of on the northwest of the property. This will be the kind of the far west of the property. So we'll have two monument signs. One of the things.
Actually, I think that one is for the stadium.
Oh, did I say the wrong one?
Yeah.
Oh. East, so say it's
There you
east.
go. Yep.
Jim, you had a question, I know that, a conversation about construction contingency and when conversations would be had about when that might transfer, some of it might transfer over. That is kind of pending with us to have a conversation, to get together and kind of hash through those details. So, probably by the next board meeting, we should have an update.
Yeah, I have a draft that I've kind of went over with my boss. I just want to sit down and get in front of Ryan and Ron before we kind of make it public. But, yeah, there's a decent amount that's going to be coming back, which is good news. We will return some funds.
So we'll work through that and hopefully by the next board meeting, we'll have that update for you to answer your questions on that. But yeah, for owner contingency, we're still in a really great spot. So, a lot of conversations about what we can do in the project before we finish, to continue to add back some of, early alternates that we had talked about or things that have come up during construction that we've learned would be, some nice to haves, that weren't previously planned for. There's things, we talked about, that got mentioned about adding, window treatments to the windows in the commons, those upper windows, being able to, when the sun's beating in there, to drop some shades. Things along that kind of nature, that we've been talking about. So as we talk through construction contingency coming back, the remaining owner contingency, and then obviously all the great funds donated from the community, what our total pool will be, and then make some decisions moving forward on that. Over on the budget, we're tracking really well. Probably the biggest changes you'll see through here as we went through and did an effort, the district and our team, reallocating some funds from different buckets that some we found as we started procuring owner direct items, the bucket was too large. And so we pulled some money out and put it into the categories that needed more funding. No net gain on project costs, no use of owner contingency in that. It was just a shuffling around. So if you look into the adjusted to actuals line, you can see some of these dollar amounts have changed because we realized either we needed more funds or didn't need as many funds with that in that line. So that happened, and I'm trying to think if there was any other major changes that we've had since we met last time. I think that's the lion's share of it is just the moving around of those funds and that one change order that I mentioned a minute ago. And so that's kind of where we're at. Things are going really well on site. We're targeting still and tell me if I'm wrong, it's still the end of April for the building?
Mhm.
And then is it end of June for the site?
Yeah, June 18th.
Oh, 18th, okay. Mid-June for the site, to have that all buttoned up. And One of the other background things we've been working on is the branding component in the building, and the district has been heavy into that process. I'd say we're approaching the end of that effort. It's been a long one, but a really good one. I think it will probably be the topic of conversation when the public gets in there for the first time. It's probably the things that they're gonna notice first, other than just like the size of the building. So really proud of that effort and really proud of the team on what they've been able to do. And I really think it will be incredibly meaningful, that effort. So that's been really good. Furniture had a great walkthrough with the furniture team a couple weeks ago and really strategizing kind of the game plan of how furniture is coming in and how they're getting into the site, where they're staging, how it's being moved, all the critical things when you buy a school's worth of new furniture. So it's been going really well. And then you'll also see there's been quite a few purchases on the owner direct side for procurement. We're getting smart panels and TVs and just all of the things that we need, the parts and smarts that go into the building have started to be procured and showing up and really transforming, what was a square into a classroom, right? And so it's been really great.
I got a list of about 7 or 9 things on my desk today that I'm hoping to get knocked out in the next couple of weeks. We're pretty close to finalizing the kilns and the greenhouse, like tables and hanging baskets, racks and stuff like that. We are done with what we needed for like our move and any additional equipment for the weight room. But that was early on, and so we just need to see if that price is still held and finalize that, because now that we're getting closer. Things such as, sideline chairs in the gym and, some of those small things like that just, some of them you know about and some you don't know about. And so getting them all to fit in and get that finalized. And appreciate, again, Heather's help on that. She does a lot of that to help me get that moving and done as far as the actual ordering of it and coordinating the delivery, so.
Any questions?
Just a general question, I guess, for anybody. Is the electrical and all the wire pulls for technology and everything, are you pretty well on track with that?
Yes, they haven't started building the data closets, unless they have in the last week, I'm not sure, but they're about ready to start building all the data closets. A lot of the wires already pulled to the data closet, the fiber is already there, the fiber from TDS is in, so it's ready to jump off here. Most of the wires all pulled. It's just a matter of doing all the terminations, which, it's a guy sitting in the closet for a couple of weeks, just terminating all the wires. So, we're getting to be about that point.
That's always a fun point when they, not only get them punched, but then to have them properly labeled is nice.
Budget question for, probably more for you, Ron. And I don't know that you'll have an answer right now, but as I'm doing kind of quick math, talking about what's left in contingencies, which we'll have to deal with. Obviously, we spent the full referendum fund amount. But then once you start reducing based on stuff coming back, it's potentially less than the referendum plus the bond interest. Is there a risk that we have to return some of that interest? Because that has to be spent, right? That can't be used for other purposes.
Yeah, so there's a couple things in there. There's probably, we'll have a final update on what the quote net interest dollars are. I'm hopeful that might even go up a little bit. With that said, part of that interest, if you gain too much interest, actually has to go back to the IRS. So you reach a point where, yep, it's great, we're making more interest dollars, because that means you're maximizing the value you're getting from the referendum dollars. However, the IRS says you can't be making more than what the cost of the borrowing was. And so some of that has to go back to IRS. Where I think you're saying is, okay, obviously at the end we have like the sale of the existing high school and stuff that are built into the equation as well. And yeah, so we're looking at right now that we have, more proceeds than what we have budgeted. It's pretty close, but a little bit more. And it does have to be spent in the project, right? And so with some of the contingencies that are out there, that's where some of the early decisions as to things that either weren't in the project or things that were an alternate, that we didn't select, can be evaluated by the board. Some of them, you know, I'll use we made fun of the Lambu a little bit ago. With a name like that, who won? But, yeah, I think those were supposed to be, you know, redwood or something, you know, wood at one point in time, then we're like, well, could you get pine and stain it or something? And it ended up being Lambu, right? And so that ship has sailed, right? But there are things, you know, we put in the bases for lights on the baseball, softball field, but we don't have lights on the baseball, softball fields. And then there's smaller things throughout the project like that, that we'll all have a chance to evaluate and say, does this make sense? Is that what we want to do? And to be honest, that's something we've been able to do with each project. That's partly why we continued to go with C.G. Schmidt for the new high school, is because, you know, with both of our small projects at Parkside and Northside, they were on time and under budget, and it allowed us to make some of those decisions at the back end. And so that's a little bit of what Tony and Ryan were talking about, is we need to, A, get confident on what those contingency dollars are gonna be, but then B, even with that said, some of these individual line items are gonna, you know, vacillate a little above, a little below, and typically they come in more below than above, and we make up a little ground even beyond that. And so, yeah, there's always that opportunity at the end to go, okay, what do we need in there? And some of it might be, you know, areas where, you know, we're over, you know, we had to up our furniture budget, but it might be that, you know, because we were pretty lean on that at the start. It might be as we walk through, once the building's nearly complete, and go, oh yeah, we probably really should have did this, but we didn't at the time because we didn't think we had the dollars to do it. And so
What's the timing on that, around like March, April?
typically, yeah, I mean, you want to try and get it in before it opens, although Ryan can probably tell you, I'm thinking like when you guys did Nina, you guys were still doing some of that process, because they were the same thing. They had to cut a lot out of that budget. And then for about 4 or 5 months after you guys were done, you were able to add some stuff back in.
Yeah, it's, you know, the things that are in the building, as in like integral to the building, obviously we're running out of time for that type of thing. The things that are extra, lights to the baseball, softball, just the obvious things that we have some time to do that before, Ron knows better than I do, but before funds have to be ported and returned or whatever they have to be done. We have a little bit of a window after we get there to procure and install some of those things. So if indeed the dollar and the lights make the cut, you know, it's something we could do this summer, right? And when the weather makes sense and we have time to procure and design, so.
Yeah, we have basically a 5-year window. Now, obviously, because of some of the intricacies of the IRS rebate rule, we'd like to close it sooner than that. But if you look at the full 5-year window, that goes back to when we had our first borrowing on the ban, which would have been December of 2022. So we would have through most of 2027 to finalize out all of our expenditures. And so that gives us some time, you know, to finalize things if we find that we do have some additional dollars available.
Question. Talking to you guys, I mean, a little too early to say congratulations, but you're talking about returning both construction and owner contingency already and confirming that April deadline. That means you're pretty confident we're coming in on time and under budget, so well done.
Yeah, thank you. It's, can't say enough about the team, PRA, C.G. Schmidt. Get a great job done very efficiently. And so that's been really great. So, I'll report back once we get through punch list, but for now, it's, things are going great. It's just been, it's been a pleasure to work on the project, and, boy, I can't say that about every project. And so, and this has been a good one, and the team has been great, and the craftsmanship and the workmanship of everything has been really good, and it's not, because it's not been without issues, right? Every project, especially this scale, has issues that come up. The best part is the resolution of those issues that are intelligent and quick, and no ego, and all of the things that can make those type of things difficult have just been a breeze. And so, yeah, the team's been great.
Other questions for the team? Okay, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Drive safe.
All right, moving on to 8B. We've got an action item to approve our, the open enrollment recommendations for the 26-27 school year. Turn it over to Joe and
Yeah, this used to be mine for years. Now it belongs to Amy as she's in the interim Director of People Services role. This is something that we're required to do annually. It's pretty straightforward. It's a part of state statute, but I'll let Amy talk a little bit about what we got here.
So as Joe said, this is part of state statute that in every January, school boards have to come together and determine the number of placements that are available for both regular education and special education students. And so here we are, it's January. So on behalf of the administration, we are recommending that for regular education students for open enrollment, that we have no caps. We will accept any and all. That's the recommendation. And then for special education students, our recommendation is the following. It's labeled each building. These numbers are very similar to what Joe has proposed the last few years. Just a few pieces of information with this, that our caseloads are much higher than the numbers that are on this paper. We are continuing to grow. We have a lot of students that have moved in the last couple of months, which have proven a challenge, which also makes it even, I think, more important to recognize how important it is that we have these caps in place to protect our own Monroe students, our staff, the availability with resources. It's become very difficult. So I think it's important that we protect that. So that would be the administration's recommendation, is that these numbers are our limits for special education. Joe, did you want to add anything? Probably forgot something.
Nope, you did a great job. Yep, so all the limits are listed. When you look through it, it probably doesn't necessarily mean a lot to you, but for us, it helps us understand the teachers and the programs that are associated with those numbers. And as Amy said, we have an obligation to serve all the students that live in the school district of Monroe. Sometimes our resources are stretched due to the number of folks that move into our community to access these resources. So we're proud of that work, but we would strongly recommend that the board approve the special ed limits as presented, and then no limit for the regular ed open enrollment.
Are you comfortable the resources are adequate for the special ed numbers?
A loaded question. a little.
We're making do with what we have. I think the reality is there are times, Amy can tell you, there'll be a family that moves in with 4 kids, all with IEPs. Some have come from a specialized school that require one-on-one or have some pretty intense needs. And the reality is we don't have an additional pot of money laying around in Ron's office, so we make it work with the staff we have. And to the credit of our teachers, our support staff, our principals, sometimes they have to take a deep breath, but then they dig in and they figure it out. So we're making it work. But there are days when that's a challenge.
So these numbers compared to last year, are they a little less or are they about the same because
Pretty
of,
much the same.
okay, so we're making do with less people with the same amount of kids possibly needing to be served.
Yep, and again, these numbers reflect the open enrollment limits imposed for special education programs. They don't reflect the actual numbers in those programs, yep. But yes, we have made cuts in special ed over the years, and the number of kids in our programs continue to go up.
Thank you.
Can you clarify this? I mean, so these numbers that we're looking at, that's additional, so these numbers, or that's the total, our kids and open
Nope.
enroll kids?
Go ahead, Amy.
Neither. So these are just, we're saying that we're not able to serve, for example, like more than 8 kids at Northside in the cross-categorical.
Total, whether it's resident or non-resident.
No.
No. So let's go with the first one listed there. It says Abe Lincoln Cross Categorical Program 1. It says 6 there. The reality is we have probably 8 or 9 kids in that program right now. But in order for a family that's trying to open enroll their child with an IEP into that program based on their needs, we would need to have less than 6 in order for them to be accepted as an open enrolled student. The reality is all of our numbers are above what's listed here, and that's intentional because if we start accepting more students with IEPs through open enrollment, it's going to make our jobs next to impossible. Now, for particular programs, sometimes it does dip down. For example, speech language, and in those cases, we do accept. But we need to follow the caps as established by the board each January.
We are currently serving at a higher rate than all of these numbers in our school, so
Correct.
our open enrollment opportunity for special education right now is 0.
Correct.
Should this change internally, though, these would be our caps.
Yeah, and the reality is both of them, I think, mentioned is, when those families actually move into our district, we obviously go above these numbers because we have to serve those children. So that's how we end up with most of our numbers always being higher than these caps, but on occasion, they do dip below.
Good question. Any other questions for administration before we take action?
Quick question. If we have students move in, Amy, that take us over our cap, and we have open enrolled students, we still keep them here because they were already enrolled before that happened, correct? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yep. In rare circumstances, you can have some conversations with the family about denying their open enrollment in. So you can revisit that. It's really hard, if you've invested
Right,
with the
but
families and the
it's-
students, but yep, if they're open enrolled, you do have that
Okay,
ability to be able to do that.
thank you.
Thanks, Amy. With that, hearing no other questions, I would look for a motion to approve the school district open enrollment recommendations for the 2026-27 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Terry, second by Phil. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. Moving on, we've got a discussion and action item to approve the Northside interim principal's resignation. Turn over to Joe to tee this up.
Yeah, so I pulled this out of the consent agenda items because it's a unique situation and worthy of some conversation with the board. There's a couple of ways this could have been handled, and I should probably start with the reason why this is necessary is because there's a couple of things at play here. Number one is that it's an interim position, but more importantly, we have a budget reduction plan that's currently in place, and how that will be handled is going to be dependent on the outcome of the referendum. In order for us to be fully prepared as a district and respond and potentially go down to 10 administrators as identified in that plan, we needed to take some steps to potentially make that reduction. And so in talking with Nicole, who's here tonight, we explored a couple of different options, and Nicole opted to volunteer and provide this resignation for the interim principal position at Northside. So with that said, I do want to make it clear, the first thing is Nicole's doing an outstanding job as the principal at Northside. Melissa's here, who works with her, and she's nodding her head. Yep, she's doing a great job. So this is in no way, shape, or form performance related. This is really about Nicole being a team player and stepping up and saying, I understand what's going on with this process. The other part of this is that we do need to make sure that, again, we have the district protected and positioned so that if we do not pass the referendum, we have a 10 person administrator team that allows us to move forward. I will say this resignation is clear that it allows Nicole to go back to her special education teacher role if necessary. So Nicole's still part of the family. She's not leaving. Right, Nicole? You're with us? But I also want to make it clear that, should the referendum pass and we're able to maintain an 11-person administrator team, Nicole very much has a strong interest in resuming that position, and how that would be handled is something we would talk about once we get to that point. But I just wanted to make it clear that Nicole's doing an outstanding job. We really appreciate her efforts. We appreciate her willingness to submit this voluntary resignation of the interim position, knowing that she's maintaining her rights to go back to the teacher job, but also making it very clear that should that position still be there in the future, she wants it. But I'd be happy to answer questions, because this, I mean, we've got some unique stuff going on right now, the timing of this with administrator contracts, and just want to make sure that everyone understands exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it.
No questions for you, Joe, but I just want to commend you for your professionalism and your bravery in this situation. It's super unique. And as a parent of a Northside student, I've seen personally how you communicate with the families and the students, and it's been a wonderful transition from Amy in the principal role to you. So thank you very much for doing this and making this unique, painful situation as easy as possible.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say thank you for being selfless and being a team player. I always knew you were, so thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you all making those comments, because this wasn't easy for our team, certainly wasn't easy for Nicole, and yep, she's a pro, and get it and understand why it's necessary, but that doesn't always make it easy to go through the process. And so we've got some work to do between now and April 7th, but this is part of the steps that we need to take. So thanks again, Nicole.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Hearing no other questions, for a motion to accept the resignation of Nicole Ruch-Seger as Northside's interim principal as requested. Sorry if I said your name.
I'll make the motion with regret.
Right, I was gonna say, I'll second with the rest.
We got a motion with regret by Teresa, second with regret from Nikki. Any discussion before we vote? Just want to echo my gratitude for you, Nicole. Thanks for all you're doing right now. Thanks for being here tonight, too. That all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
With
Opposed?
regret.
Opposed, nay. Nay. Motion carries. Okay, on to approval of the renewal of administrative contracts. Turn it over to Joe to tee this up.
Yeah, so this kind of continues this discussion, because I know there's been a couple of questions, and I think that's largely because even though this is a process that happens annually and is pretty standard, not only in our district, but in districts across the state of Wisconsin, what makes it unique is the fact that we have a couple of interim positions currently on the team, and then we also have a reduction process that's at play, contingent on the outcome of our referendum vote in April. So just to be clear, because I know we have some folks that are a little bit new to this, this is pretty standard procedure. I would say the majority, very clearly, of school districts in the state of Wisconsin issue 2-year rolling contracts. There are a few that may choose to occasionally offer single-year contracts, but for the most part, it's a pretty standard practice. And the reason for that is because it allows districts to create some stability. Certainly, it allows for retention of administrators in the district, but 2 years is kind of seen as that number that certainly allows the districts to provide some accountability as well. It's built into the state statute, so it's a pretty common practice in that regard. And I can say, as long as I've been in the district, which again, it's my 28th year, this is how the district is always issued and renewed administrator contracts. One thing that I wanted to be clear about is, I just mentioned this with Nicole's situation. We have 10 administrators that are a part of this role. We just took care of Nicole's situation. Ultimately, what we're talking about is an extension or an offer of employment for 2 more years. What we're not doing is, one, locking in any kind of salary or increased compensation. That's something that happens during late spring, early summer typically within this district. And the other thing is that we're not necessarily locking in specific positions. And so by that, I'm referencing, we have Amy's position, she's in an interim position. I think there was some question as to, does this effectively lock her into that position? And the answer is no, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that within the contract language, it specifically says that the district administrator has the ability to reassign administrators for any position for which they are licensed. And the other part of it is the district's working with legal counsel to make sure that for Amy's specific contract, that there's language that protects the district and protects Amy with regard to the principal job at Northside, interim director of pupil services, whatever may happen from there. So there'll be flexibility built in there. Really what you're voting on tonight is that you're offering an extension of employment for the 10 administrators listed for the next 2 years. And again, that's something that's pretty standard practice. There's a number of reasons that I could go through, but ultimately I just wanted to make it clear that that's effectively what we're doing tonight, not trying to lock in anything or suggest that this is going to confirm positions for the interim role. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all might have at this point.
Thanks, Scott. Questions for administration on this?
Again, Amy, given the interim position, thank you for your flexibility working with the district on this also. Not easy conversations, I'm sure, so.
Great, so I would look for a motion to approve the renewal of administration contracts as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Bill,
Second. Nicole, it's fine.
second by Nicole. Any discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Last item of new business, we've got a referendum update.
Yeah, so this is something that, as I talked with Jim and Teresa, we wanted to keep this as an agenda item going forward through April 7th. It doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be any formal presentation, but really it's an opportunity to, one, share any updates that we have, and two, certainly allow the board to engage in any dialogue that may be necessary at that time. Just a few things that I wanted to share at this point. We've recently made public the FAQ document, the frequently asked questions. That's available on our website. A lot of work has gone into that document, and it is a living, breathing, work in progress document. So as we hear questions that might be out and about in the community, or we see online, or Roger emails me and says, what about this? We will take that question if we feel it's appropriate, put it in that document and provide an answer, because it's our intent that we want to provide all the information that's necessary for the board or the community to make an informed decision. So we're excited about that. That document also includes a list of opportunities for the community to be engaged, including our listening sessions. And we have a listening session scheduled for tomorrow evening at 5:30 at Northside Elementary LMC. So Northside will be hosting us, and we're excited about that. We put out some communication to the parents today to try and make sure people are aware of that. We have an incredible number of community group presentations that are being put together, work being done via the radio, social media, some newsletters and mailers that are being developed. A lot of work that's happening behind the scenes right now with a lot of people, but ultimately, again, the goal is to make sure that people have the information that they need. We're going to be involved in some different community events where we're going to be out and about and have people available to answer questions as needed, and we feel really good about that effort. So be happy to answer any questions that the board has, and I'm not sure why I'm losing my voice right now, but it's going fast.
Questions? Okay. Thanks for all
Thanks.
the work.
Appreciate it.
All right, move on to informational items. Do we got anything for administration?
I did want to mention, where is it? We do have, we're planning for Monroe High School Scholarship Meeting on Thursday, March 5th at 8:30 at the high school. Looking for one or two board members that would like to be a part of that process. It's always a lot of fun to go through all of the scholarship applications and make selections for those kids that are getting ready to graduate and move on in life. If anyone is interested, you can certainly let us know now, or if you don't know for sure and you want to email me, I'd be happy to take that information. But it's getting to that time of the year when we're making plans for that. It doesn't seem right that we're talking about March already, but we're talking about March.
I'd like to join that if.
Nice. Tracy, do you usually? or you
I
can,
have always done it, and
but
not this year,
not this-
obviously. I have two seniors.
Yeah.
But I would recommend if someone else wanted to do it, it's fantastic. I've done it the past 8 years, 7 years.
I'll check my calendar. I would love to be there.
All right. Yeah, and it's worth noting that it's a lot of work to put all that together. Aaron Bloom does an incredible job of organizing all that. So we basically show up, we have our packets between Aaron and Jeremy. We're able to cruise through a lot of work in a very efficient manner. So that'd be great. I'll mark you two down.
The foundation is usually there too, because they obviously hold our scholarship dollars and what the ruling on them is, so they coordinate with Aaron, so it's a good meeting.
Awesome. Just want to say thank you for the flexibility for folks to make the early meeting tonight. Also, did hear back from almost everybody that February 24th will work for the second meeting in February. So we're going to move the meeting from the 23rd to the 24th. I will not be in attendance, but that way Teresa will be here to run the show. You won't have to deal with me for an evening.
Can I add one thing I forgot?
Yeah.
Just wanted to mention, I know we had a conversation about the Bauer Education Center previously. I wanted to let you guys know that we haven't forgot about that. There's actually been a lot of work that's been done in order to collect information. We anticipate that we'll be ready to reengage that conversation at our next meeting in February, just to give you all an update on a variety of things associated with that topic.
And just to clarify, on the 24th, same time though, 7?
So 7,
Yeah.
yep, 7 o'clock. Thanks.
Would we perhaps have a finance committee tonight?
It's likely we'd have it on the 24th, yeah. Yep.
Got nothing else on boardsmanship, Board of Education correspondence. I've got nothing for tonight. Liaison reports.
I do have a short statement
All right.
from MEA and Mass.
Great.
We just wanted to thank the administration and the board for their transparency and communication and work on the upcoming referendum. We see all the work you're doing and we appreciate you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you. With that, we are to committee reports. Nicole, we'll start with you.
EAU meets February 3rd.
Finance met tonight prior to the board meeting to review November and December financials.
See about bringing if the auditors are available for the 24th, then at 7.
Curriculum will meet prior to the first meeting in February to get a mid-year data update.
Thanks. Micah?
Curious, did anyone know how Prom for Pennies went? I know they held Prom for Pennies last weekend.
I can speak to that. It didn't go as well as normal. They only sold 35 dresses.
It's really cold.
Yes, which is down. They're usually in the 50s or 60s. I don't think Junior Optimists are going to continue that next year, but there may be another organization that picks that up in the high school. So,
Thanks, Tom.
Only other thing I would say is it was really great to see board members represented at the Wisconsin Education Conference. last week, I would say would be awesome if each of us could maybe bring like an insight or a takeaway we had from that time to the next meeting. We can provide it in committee reports. This feels like a big investment, really, a lot of excitement. Even had Monroe up on stage presenting on Thursday, so appreciate everybody who was able to make the time, and let's bring some kind of insights back for our next meeting. Any agenda items for future discussion? Hearing none, we got 5 minutes for Gary, Adam, not in attendance. Okay, we are gonna move on to adjourn. With that, I will look for a final motion.
Second.
Motion by Nikki, second by Terry. I've got 6, is that right? Yeah. 6:56. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.
Thanks, everyone.
4-7.
Nice meeting, Jim.
Now,
Got it.
we need to have this level of motivation.
I remember when,
Just saying.
Motivation and efficiency. I want to be careful not to totally conflate the two.
Oh, my goodness. But whatever word you want, if we're not here till. Right, Joe?
What's that?
Give it whatever word you want, as long as we're not here till midnight.
That's right.
This level of.
Hey, stay warm.